Hey, you're listening to episode 13 of the TA Pedals podcast. I'm Tristan.
And I'm Stephon.
What's up?
What's up?
Oh, you know, the huge.
So, episode 13, huh?
Yeah. 13.
Yeah.
Seems to maybe be an unlucky number.
Some people believe it's unlucky number, and some people believe that it's a lucky number. But there definitely are some weird things out there tied to the number 13.
That's true. Like Friday the 13th.
13 Ghosts.
Um,
That's a good movie, by the way.
that actually is a really good movie. Very underrated, I think.
Yeah.
So I think since it's our 13th episode, maybe we talk about some spookies.
Some spooky stuff?
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
So I'm going to start off by saying that, like, I'm a big fan of horror movies, all types of genres, you know. Like, I really have been enjoying like comedy horror lately. Like, one of my favorite movies is Cabin in the Woods.
Oh.
That's a good one. But Sydney and I are pretty big fans of the like Conjuring universe, like Annabelle and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And they to me, they get kind of cheesy, but they're still pretty cool, and like the concepts are really cool. And but Benjamin has been talking to an imaginary friend lately. And you know, like in the Annabelle movie, they're like, oh, this is Annabelle, and like she just, you know, like moves around sometimes by herself, and like it starts getting creepy, and then like some entity you know, is like, can I live in the doll?
It's like a entity, like a shadow figure that's manipulating the doll. Right?
Yeah, like specifically in that movie, it's a demon.
Oh.
And that's pretty creepy. But so like Benjamin has been for a long time talking about an imaginary friend called Hee Hee, and he'll be like, "Where's Hee Hee? Where's Hee Hee?" And I'll be like, "I don't know. Where is Hee Hee?" And he's like, "Hee Hee went in my room." And I'm like, "Oh,
well, today,
no."
Funny thing, like today, like we asked him where Hee Hee was, and he was like, he got up on the couch and was like looking out the window, and he's like, Hee Hee's outside. And then he said something about Hee Hee's at the train, and then like 5 minutes later the train starts whistling, and that was super creepy. And like I took the liberty to look it up, and like there was a wreck associated with the train not too long ago, with a family of 4 that had died there. Mother and 3 kids had died there, and that's pretty eerie. Like, to think that like Hee Hee is at the train, and there was a train wreck there. And
wasn't one of the kids' names like pretty similar to Hee Hee?
I think the oldest son that had died was JC, and Benjamin, he's only like what, 2?
Yeah, he's 2.
His vocabulary isn't up there yet. And he still has like that babyish kind of dialect to him, so it's hard to understand what he's saying. So JC, Hee Hee, it does sound similar.
It does, and I don't want to think that like that's what he's saying, but yeah, he says he sees Hee Hee all the time. Like, he says, you know, Hee Hee's in the window, Hee Hee's by the flowers, and then he'll like I'm not even joking. He's been leaning back and like looking at the ceiling and saying, "The ceiling's making noise." And I'm like, it's not. He's freaking me out.
But the thing is it's a pretty like normal thing nowadays to have a kid that just sees and hears things. And like, I think the majority of people who witness it chalk it up to like an imaginary situation, or there's, you know, those people that believe that my kid can see ghosts. You know what I'm saying? Because
right.
like it's been a theory for quite some times that because they have such a their mind isn't fully developed, that they have the ability to see things that adults can't see.
Right.
And then there's some adults that can see it.
Yeah, I've heard that like from conspiracy people that fluoride and different minerals in our like tap water get in our pineal gland, which is like the third eye, that whole like mysticism thing. And apparently like that gland like regulates, certain hormones and things like that. And they say that like kids, because their pineal gland hasn't been calcified by those minerals in our drinking water and stuff, that they are more susceptible to like interdimensional interaction from other entities and stuff. And like that's like kind of people's explanation for that.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Like
it
I
makes
don't know.
sense. It makes enough sense for us to, believe that it's a possibility.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like we don't really understand, like, as much as people want to think that we like know everything about the human body, like we really don't, especially like our brains.
Yeah.
And we're finding out like new things about the human body all the time. Like they just found like a new saliva gland that they didn't know was there. So like even things like in the mouth, like if we're still finding things in the mouth, imagine how little that we know about the brain. It's crazy.
But are we finding new things in the mouth because they were there before, or are we evolving?
I think that in this case, they're because the time since recorded medical history, as far as like in-depth detail from dissections and things like that, have been so recent in the last several hundred years, we probably haven't developed any new like glands in our mouth or anything like that. I think it takes quite a bit longer than that. But
I don't know, because if you think about Asperger's as like autism and Asperger's as an evolved thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think we differ on that. I don't think that it's like an evolutionary thing. I know we've talked about that, and I can't be sure. Like, who knows what's going to happen in, hundreds of thousands or millions of years. But yeah. I don't think that. I think it's just an unfortunate genetic situation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm me personally, I'm more aligned with that. Like, evolution might take hundreds and hundreds of years, maybe even thousands of years, but at what point does that change? You know what I mean? We're growing and our knowledge is getting more and more every day, and that can push us to evolve faster than a normal human being has evolved in the past.
Yeah, I mean, environment absolutely plays an impact on that. That's the whole point of, evolution, and we're changing the way that we live, our lifestyles, our food consumption, what we do every day, our activities. So, I mean, like, yeah, it definitely could, because humans are extremely adaptable in that way. But I just don't think that like any sort of like mental disability necessarily would be the next like evolutionary step, just in my opinion. I again, I don't know, but I'm just saying.
I mean, if evolution can be in different, things, like it might, like you don't think of like an evolution as something that could prohibit you from doing something, but in some cases it can. So like I everything that like is a change from the typical, I feel like that's an evolution, whether it's bad or good. Like if we developed an immunity to a certain disease, that's an evolution. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but there are also you said that any change from the ordinary, like development of something would be an evolution. I don't think that's true. I think that it's possible to have mutations that are not beneficial to a species. And like in other species, especially like bugs, flies that are born with genetic defects and stuff, they're often sterile, so they don't reproduce. So I don't know. That's just where I stand on it. And I don't know which is which. Like, I don't know what traits are evolutionary and which are just, unfortunate mutations or just mutations in general. It's just all speculation because we're not going to be able to live for long enough to see the outcome of it. But either way, I would love to have a mutation that let me see ghosts.
Oh yeah, that would be cool.
That would be crazy
to be able to have our brain be pushed so far to its limit to be able to recollect past lives and speak with people who have lived and died already. Like, that would be crazy.
It would be nuts. I don't believe in ghosts. But like, I can't say that I understand everything either, because I've had experiences that I can't explain. Have you had any experiences like that? Like, just things happening that don't make any sense at all?
I've had some weird stuff happen, but not like so significant that it's like I'm, thinking about it or dwelling on it or anything. You know what I mean? It's like one of those things. It's like, oh, that's weird, and then I move on. So like, for me to recollect any one particular thing, it does, like, it's not there. You know what I mean? But I remember the feeling that I had whenever it happened.
Right. Yeah. I have a few stories. I think I'd like to share.
Go ahead.
Since we're talking about spooky stuff. Some of them are pretty insignificant. Some of them still I can't figure out to this day. I'll start off with one that I don't think is necessarily a ghost, but it's very strange. Okay, so when I was in college, I stayed up really late and would hang out with a couple other people sometimes who would also stay up late. And there was this girl that I was hanging out with for a little while, and we would just like drive around in my car and go different places and, whatever. And one night we decided that we would drive to Wilburton, Oklahoma, which is, I don't know if you know where that's at. It's
I think so.
Like you go past Worcester, go past Red Oak, then Wilburton's there. And there was a park there, and we decided to just like get something to drink, like stopped at a gas station, got some snacks, and then we went to this park and we were just like chilling. And then like out of nowhere, it was like this one of the scariest moments I've ever had in my life. I really thought that we were in trouble. I thought some big animal was out there. We were sitting on like one of those like moon climber things. You know what I'm talking about? It's like a dome that kids can crawl on. It has like the bars and like it's all like shaped. It's formed like a hexagons.
That hexagon dome bar thing.
Yeah. And
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Like we were sitting on top of that, and then and there were like some woods kind of to our right and behind us, and from that direction it was like like really
like a really heavy stampede stomping kind of thing. Oh my.
Like it sounded, I'm not joking, it sounded like an elephant or something running at us. Like it was so scary, Stephon. And we looked and we were like freaking out, dude, like freaking out, because it's like 2:00 in the morning.
Is there a road anywhere near by those trees?
Yeah, because
someone had a flat tire.
That's possible, but I don't think so. Like, because it was so, like, it sounded like big feet like hitting the ground. But yeah, that's really funny. But I'm pretty sure that wasn't it. And so we looked at each other and we're like freaking out, like didn't know where to go, didn't know what to do. We really thought we were in trouble. And so like we got in the car and like left.
Oh yeah.
Like
I probably would have done the same thing.
It was so scary.
And you were probably like 20, huh? Maybe
I was
younger.
Maybe 21 or 2.
Okay, yeah. I was scared to go anywhere near the woods when I was, younger. So.
Yeah, I mean there are like, the thing is, like, I know the animals around here. Like, I know there are deer and whatever, and it didn't sound like that. It sounded huge, dude. It sounded bigger than a moose.
It had heavy feet.
It had heavy feet, dude.
Maybe
but
it was
the
a
thing
bear.
is, like,
there's bears around here, right?
Right? Yeah. There are bears. I think they're black bears.
Is that what motivated you for that song?
that feeling that I had
Yeah.
that night, yeah, that's one of them.
Now that I hear that story, that it makes more sense.
Yeah, it's just, it was so unsettling because like it got louder, like it sounded like it was coming towards us, and when we looked all around, of course, and there was like nothing there
What if you like
that we could see.
Listen, just this side note idea. What if like towards the end of the song you like fade out all the instruments and just have the heavy at the end of the song? That would be that'd make it more creepy.
The song he's talking about is called Evergreen by Tristan Alexander. I have music on Spotify if you guys want to check it out. It's not, I mean, I just do it for me.
It's just instrumental stuff, but I like it. It's really cool.
It's like, the reason that I like doing instrumental stuff and listening to it is because like it makes you shut up and listen and appreciate the music. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of songs, people, and there's nothing wrong with this either, but like people like to sing along and they say, "Oh, I like music," but then like the minute you put on something instrumental, they're like, "Oh, this doesn't have words. This isn't a song." And I'm like, then you don't like music. You like singing. Yeah. Like just singing. Like, and that's, again, no matter what you like, no matter what your preference is, that's fine. But instrumental music, it like makes you have an appreciation for the instrumentation and the arrangement and things like that. So that's why I like doing it, because it still sets like a certain mood. And that song, yeah, Evergreen, is like, it's supposed to invoke this feeling like you're walking through this dense, super dark green, like forest with like all these like, like conifer and pine trees and mm-hmm. things. And it's like you have this feeling like something's following you and watching you, and you may get like a glimpse of it, like out the corner of your eye, like some movement, but like you never quite see it. Yeah. And then you walk into this clearing and you turn around and there's like glowing eyes, like from the woods. Yeah. And that's that feeling that I had that night. Like something's there, but like I can't.
Don't know what it is.
I can't. Yeah, I don't know what it is, and I can't. But like it like makes you feel like you're crazy too. Like, am I imagining this? Yeah. And then you finally get confirmation that like there was something there. That's the feeling.
Like I've watched a lot of like TV shows and movies that like, that depict like demons, and like maybe there's like demons like possessing bodies, or demons just roaming around, and it always depicts it as someone walking heavily, and it scares me to think that you had an encounter like that and you didn't know what it was.
Oh yeah, it still haunts me to this day. It really does. Like when I was just telling this story just a minute ago, like it gave me chills. Like I'm still getting chills like right now just like thinking about it. It was so scary.
Turn something like that into a positive, and you made a song out of it. So
that's true.
That's cool that you did that. It's like a therapeutic thing, kind of way to get over it a little bit. Exactly.
Just bury it down deep. And then, okay, so are you ready for my second story?
Yeah.
So my second story is a really short one. I was living with my parents still. I was probably 16 or 17. And I was really into like art and stuff. And I had like these like markers or whatever. And I had like this big wooden dresser that was in my bedroom. And above the dresser, I had a poster from the game Kingdom Hearts, which I know we're both a fan of. Yeah. It's such a good game. And so like I was like going to my dresser to like get something. And like I started like looking at my poster, and like on top of my dresser, I had a box of markers, but the yellow one, it was laying outside of the box. And so like towards the back of the dresser, I'm facing the wall, towards the back of the dresser is the box of markers. And in my peripheral vision, I see the yellow marker laying in front of the box. And I'm looking at my Kingdom Hearts poster, and in my peripheral vision, I see the marker start to like slowly roll towards me. And I was like, that's weird. And like, I just like let it happen, like was just observing. And when I looked down, it rolled back. I was like, okay. Like, that's pretty weird.
Almost like there was like a bend in fabric of the universe.
Yeah, I don't know. All I know is it was like slowly rolling towards me, and when I looked down, it rolled back to where it was, and I was like, okay, I didn't imagine that.
Okay, so it's so weird. I have like these weird like feelings and like a lot of deja vu moments. I think we've talked about this before, obviously not on podcasts, but like I have these moments of deja vu where like I'm doing something and I can remember doing it even though I know for a fact it's never happened, and it's so weird. Like I could tell you, like, if in the moment I could tell you like this is what's going to happen, and then this happens and then that happens even though it hasn't happened yet, and it's like within a 5-minute time period.
That's
like
crazy.
And like just like the other day, so like I had just got a Sam's Club membership, right? And I went to Sam's Club with my wife and the 3 girls, and we were in the Sam's Club line, like, because I hadn't got my picture ID for the Sam's Club card yet. So I was in line, and I can remember pulling up my phone to the email for the confirmation code, or for my code for the Sam's Club membership. And I remember, like, I can remember going up to the cashier and him telling me that they didn't have any cards. And I was still sitting in line remembering that this was going to happen. And then it happened just like that.
That's so nuts, dude.
That's and that stuff happens to me. Like, I wouldn't say a lot, but often enough for me to be like, it's
a thing.
That's something that happens to me, and it's weird.
Yeah.
And it's like, I put that under a paranormal category because it's not and there's no explanation for something like that.
Yeah, I've heard like short bouts of deja vu is like your brain taking in information and then forgetting about it and then remembering it after you forgot, or it's something like that. But like, I've never heard of anything like where it's like a 5-minute window. Like normally it's just like, maybe 10 seconds or something where you're just like, oh wait, this has happened before. But 5 minutes and having like a whole scenario play out is weird.
Yeah.
That's really weird.
Yeah. So I don't like to talk about it because it doesn't make any sense to me, but it does happen, and it's really weird when it does. And I turned to my wife while we were in line, and I told her everything. Like, I was like, I'm having a deja vu moment. And like, I can remember doing this and doing this and doing this. And then we go up and everything that I said happened.
What did she say?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But like I've discussed it with her several times, and like, that's not the first time that I did that with her. So it's like, it's almost like, yeah.
If you had to take a guess, like how or why that's happening, what would you think?
So like, I've speculated on it quite a bit, and like, I'm a big believer in like multi-universes and how they, like, when certain things happen, it branches out and creates a new universe, that kind of thing. But like, for me, whenever that happens, like, I feel like I'm connected to something else that's happening beside me. Maybe it's happening a little bit ahead of time of me, and that's why I'm able to have that feeling and that memory, is because I'm being connected with that. And it's so weird. Like, I don't like to, that's why I don't like to talk about it, because I can't explain it.
Like, the fabric between realities is thin and you can see through the veil a little bit.
Yeah, something like that. Like, that's like the best explanation I can come up with for something like that, because what else makes sense? You know what I mean? Like, it's so weird.
It is weird. Well, I have a third story.
All right, let's hear it.
I think this is probably the last one it's the last one I can think of right now. So again, I was a teenager. I remember I was probably 16 whenever this happened. And in my bedroom, I had a small like TV. And when I say small, I mean the screen was small, but it was actually
like one of those old school box TVs.
Yeah, like where the back like stuck out
Yeah.
so far. And so anyway, I had like a little entertainment center, and I had one of those giant small TVs on it, and I had a futon in my room, and that's like what I used as my bed. And I remember one night, it was really late at night, and I was watching some show, and there used to be this soda called Vault. It was like a green soda, and it was like right around the time that like Monster first came out, and
it was like a Mountain Dew style.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, I remember it.
It was so good, and I used to drink those all the time. And so it was really late at night, and I was drinking this soda, so I was sat up in my futon. I had my blanket kind of like on my lap, and so like I opened the soda, and I drank the rest of it, and then I put it down by the post of the futon, and I
like on the floor.
Yeah, on the floor, and I was gonna pull my blanket up over my shoulder and lay down and finish watching TV until I fell asleep. And so I pulled my blanket over my shoulder, laid down, soda bottle is in the floor, and I lay down and like snuggle up for just a second, and about 10 seconds after I laid down, and that's important, 10 seconds after I laid down, the empty bottle of soda flies against the wall. Like pretty hard, flies against the wall, and just like falls on the floor. And it made me think like, oh, I bet when I pulled my blanket, I knocked it over or something.
Yeah.
Or I bet, whatever. But I was so still. Like I'd pulled the blanket over, laid my head down, and wasn't moving, just watching TV, and then it flew against the wall. And I was like, okay, that's one of those moments where I was like, I think I'm crazy. And I was like, no, that happened.
Okay, I have a question for you. Had you drinking a Vault at any point in time after that?
What, like, did I ever have another Vault soda?
Yeah.
Yeah, I drink them all the time.
Okay.
It was like one of my favorite sodas.
I just feel like if it were like, if that was me, you know what I mean? And that happened to me, I would be like, someone's sending me a message. I should no longer drink the soda.
Well, also, I did mention it was like 2:00 in the morning or whatever I said. It was late, and I was drinking soda.
Yeah.
So like, shouldn't have been doing it. Yeah. Anyway, so maybe that was like the ghost of my dentist. He was reaching out like, stop it. No, probably not. But it was weird. It was weird.
Yeah, there's some weird things, unexplained things going on in this world.
I do have one more story.
All
one more, and this is a big one. I can't believe I forgot about this, but one more. So when Sydney and I first got married, we moved in.
I think I know what story this is.
Really? Dude, it's so creepy.
Yeah.
So when Sydney and I first got married, we lived in this little apartment in Poto, and when you walk in the front door, there's like a living room area, and to the left is like a kitchen, or like, I guess it's like a dining room area, but it's very, very small, and it's connected to the kitchen. And so we had like, when you walk in and turn to the left in that small dining room area, there was a table, and it was pushed up against the wall, the same wall that the door is on. And so on the other three sides of the table, we had these chairs, and the backs of the chairs stuck up probably 6 inches above the tabletop when they're pushed in against the table. And we had bought this calendar, and it was like a dry erase board calendar, and we had it like leaned up against the window with the calendar side facing out. So like the window's above the table, calendar's leaned against the window with the calendar side facing out. Does that make sense so far?
I kind of got lost a little bit.
I'm sorry.
But okay, so the calendar, like the face of the calendar, the whiteboard part was facing out, like if you were outside, you would be able to see it.
No, I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's facing the inside of the room.
Okay.
It's leaned up against the window. Calendar part, the dry erase part, is facing the inside of the room. Yeah, facing the table.
Okay.
Exactly. And so we go to bed one night, and it's pretty late, 2 or 3 in the morning again, and we just hear like this really loud crash. Okay. And so like we're freaking out thinking someone's breaking in or someone's in there or whatever. I run into the living room area, look around, no one there. I walk into the kitchen, and like inside the kitchen, which was probably 15 feet away from the table, the calendar is on the floor face down, like calendar side down. And so like I got to thinking about it, trying to like be logical about it. And I was like, well, maybe it slid off the table, like, because it was leaned up against the window. Maybe it just slid. And I was like, no, because then the calendar part would be facing up. And also, like, it probably wouldn't have fallen off the table because the chairs would have blocked it from, like, sliding off the table in that direction into the kitchen.
Okay, so it was, hold on. For, just to clarify,
yes.
the setting, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Your table, you have the table, and at the end of the table, you have a chair.
Yes.
That's pushed into the table.
Yes.
The calendar's leaning up against the chair?
Calendar's leaning up against the window that is directly across from the chair. So, like, here's the calendar, tabletop, chair, window. I know that doesn't make sense if you're listening, but I'm using hand movements.
Okay, so there's a pretty good amount of space between the chair and the table.
Where the calendar is, yes.
So the table was all the way up against the wall.
Yes.
And
so
the calendar was on the wall, on top of the table.
Yes.
Above the table.
Yes.
And somehow, so like if it were to fall, it would have fell on the table.
Yes, and it would have fallen calendar side up. Like dry erase side up. It was in the kitchen, 15 feet away, dry erase side down.
Okay.
And there was no one there.
Okay.
And like it didn't sound like it didn't sound like it fell.
It sounded like it got thrown.
It sounded like someone took it parallel to the floor and slammed it down.
Or just
and we had tile floor.
Or just did one of those.
Yeah.
Just tossed it across the room and it just landed wherever it landed.
Yeah, but it definitely sounded like it hit like as if it were being held flat parallel to the floor and then
like
dropped straight down on
like
the floor.
All sides landed at the same time.
Yes. It was like one of those sounds.
Oh, wow.
Like where it just like smacked.
Just like everything all at once. Like, let's see if we can replicate it.
Yep.
Okay.
Just like that. Like, except
way louder.
It was way louder because the calendar was pretty big and it was heavy. But yeah, dude, like, I can't explain that. Sydney can't explain that. And to this day, like, it still freaks us out because, like,
that's not the story I thought it was going to be.
Oh, really?
I thought you were going to tell the story about the lights in the sky.
Oh, well, I can talk about that too.
Let's finish this one first.
Yeah, for sure. But
that one's really freaky.
Yeah,
it seems freaky. Like a lot of like the majority of the stories that tie into like paranormal stuff for you is like things getting moved or thrown around.
Yeah, and I really don't like that.
That's like typical. That's like typical poltergeist or like that's related to like ghost stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really weird that you don't believe in that.
Yeah, I know. It's I have an explanation, but it's so
none of the explanations you have explain that.
I do have a theory, and it's a theory that I have that would take a very, very, very long time to explain. So maybe for a different episode, or maybe I'll blog about it, or maybe not. I don't know.
Is there a scientifical proved method of explaining what happened? Like there's actual physics and science involved in explaining it, or is it just like a theory of something that can be construed as paranormal?
It is a theory based in science and religion, and it makes logical sense to me. I can tell you about it sometime, like off air or whatever, if you're interested, but like it explains things for me to a certain extent, because even though I'm the one who kind of like put it together or whatever, it still isn't something I believe. It's something that I believe could be possible.
You know, it'd been really weird.
What?
Is if you lifted up the calendar and it had like a check mark near one of the days or something.
I would have thought I was gonna die. I'm like, okay, that's it. Like,
or
that's
maybe
my
you're
death
gonna
day.
be a millionaire on that day. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah, that would be a better outlook. But I'd probably be like, I'm gonna die. Yeah. You want me to tell the light story?
Yeah.
And then I have something to say about like. Well, I'll get to it. So this is also a pretty short story. I'm gonna roll two stories into one because I think there's something that ties into this that you don't know about. So long story short, Sydney and I were living in Oklahoma City, and there is a main highway called Broadway Extension. If you go off of Broadway Extension, we lived off of a road called Britain. Like, you go off of Broadway Extension, you exit, get on Britain, go down to Walker, make a left, go down to 89th Street, make a right, and I lived like right there. Okay, so it's not too far off of a main road. So Sydney and I are driving home from somewhere one night, and we make a right turn to exit off of the highway onto Britain. And in the sky, there's like this orange light, and it's like hovering there for a second. And Sydney and I both like looked at it, and I was like, look. And it was just hovering there. And then it shot off like and left like this weird like tail of light, kind of like it went really fast. And I was like, I looked at her because like I didn't know how to explain it, and I was like, what was that? And she was like, I don't know. And I was like, that doesn't make sense. Like, it's just this light that's like hovering there, and
aside from the tail of light that it left, it practically disappeared.
Yeah. It was gone so fast. It kind of looked like a shooting star, but it was too close to be a shooting star. It stayed in one spot too long to be a shooting star, and it was too like reddish orange colored and bright. I've seen shooting stars. It didn't look like a shooting star, but it left like that streak kind
have
of,
you
know what I
seen,
mean?
like, so a shooting star is like a meteor, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's going,
meteorite.
but it's like shooting, like in our eyes it's shooting across the sky, but really it's traveling really, really fast somewhere in space.
Yeah, or through our atmosphere and burns up.
Okay, so could it have been that?
No, because it's hard. I know it's hard for people to judge distance and direction and things like when things are so high up in the sky, but this was low enough where I know that it traveled horizontally. Like, it wasn't at an angle.
What if it was
just
like what if it was at like doing this?
Let me think about that.
Because it would be going straight, like you would see it straight on in front of you until it started curving off and went a different way.
I mean, I guess that's possible, but it definitely looked like it was traveling horizontally, and it was in one spot for like long enough for us to be like, "Hey, look, there it is!
Yeah.
Like, look at that!" And then its speed like instantly changed, and it shot off.
I feel like there's a scientific explanation for that, because
it could be
in our atmosphere we have currents of air that are similar to the currents that are in water, and so that could have changed its direction if it was something that was coming straight down and then it had a change of direction. Like, I feel like that's a good enough explanation for me.
It's not for me, but only because I saw it, and it doesn't make, like, what I saw doesn't. exactly match what you're describing.
Yeah.
Like it's too hard to explain. I wish I had video of it or something.
Yeah.
Because I'd like to review it myself. Like it still to this day bothers me. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure I would like to think, I really want to hope that it wasn't anything, but like I saw it and whatever it was, like it doesn't make sense to me. Like the way it behaved didn't make sense to me. And also like I don't really like, if there were like an alien craft, I wouldn't think that it would glow the way that this thing glowed. It was just like, it was like a ball of light, like a ball of like intense, like white,
like a
hot looking reddish orange,
like a
light.
mini, like a little baby sun.
Kinda, yeah, kinda. And then, so the other story that ties into this, I'm gonna make it really short. Essentially, I was on my way home from work one night, and I was going through Spyro, and I was on like the main strip, and pretty much the same thing happened, but directly in front of me, and it was green. There's a green one, and these two events, by the way, are like 6 years apart,
and in different cities,
and yeah, completely different cities,
like 200 miles apart.
Yeah. So, there was like it was green, it was smaller, and it was like hovering, and I was watching it, and then it like zoomed off straight ahead of me, just
like
gone.
Away from you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was kind of weird, but anyway. So what I was talking about earlier, like what I was going to get to is like I asked Sydney like why it doesn't bother her that she's like seen these things and can't explain it, and she's like, because I can't explain it. Like I'm not going to ever know like what it is. There's no way to like have any evidence, of like what happened. And so like she just kind of pretends like it didn't happen. And I'm like, but I want to know. Like I want to know like what that was. Like, am I crazy? Like what did I see? Like, is it a natural phenomena that I observed, or like was it something else? I don't know. And it bothers me. And I probably would be a lot more at peace if I had her attitude and was just like, yeah, I don't know and I can't know, so I'm not going to worry about it. But I want to know so bad. Freaks me out.
I think I'm like somewhere in the middle of y'all.
Really?
like I want to know what it is, and I want it to be explained, but at the same time, it doesn't play a significant part of my life.
That's what she said.
Like to worry about it.
Yeah, she's like, it doesn't affect my day to day, and so what are you gonna do about it? And I'm like, oh, I guess nothing. But it's just I think about it a lot because it's weird.
There's just a lot of weird stuff that happens in our world, and there's no explanation for them.
Yeah, that's true. I don't. It's like I want to know, but I almost don't want to know.
You're scared of what the answer would be.
Yeah, because like if all those things, had some weird paranormal explanation, it would change my worldview a lot.
There's so many like things out there, like reports and people like that have probably encountered very similar things to what you've done.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a lot of people put it under that paranormal category.
I've always wanted to see one of the like big black triangle UFOs. There was a news article about a triangular UFO,
like a pyramid.
Yeah, this one in particular, I think people had pictures of it, and I'm pretty sure there's a picture of it in like USA Today, I think is the newspaper it was reported in. But it was like a slow moving triangular aircraft that was giant and had like symmetrical lights on it. We've all seen, typical like alien movies nowadays and how that's portrayed. But like this was reported by the USA Today, I'm pretty sure, and it like flew over Arizona, and like thousands of people saw it. Like I want to see that.
Yeah,
it's pretty crazy.
I don't know how my life would be very different if I've seen something like that in person. Like my whole life would change in a second. Like everything that I think about and everything I know about would all be completely different.
Yeah, your foundation of your experience in reality would be shaken. You know what I mean? Like just to know that like there's something out there for sure, that can't be explained and we don't know what it is, or maybe we do and it's being hidden from us or whatever. It would be really easy to kind of lose your sense of.
You said Arizona, right?
Yeah. It flew
Where's
over Arizona.
Roswell?
New Mexico.
You know where New Mexico is?
By Arizona. Yeah, I'll have to pull it up and show you the article when we're done with the podcast. It really freaks me out, and like it's like it's so weird because I feel like things like that are reported, or like for example another thing, the footage that was released by the Pentagon of the UFOs that were caught by Commander David Fravor on radar from extremely sensitive and accurate like radar detection systems. The Pentagon put out like 3 videos of UFOs, and like no one with that and the Arizona, UFO sighting, like it's like no one bats an eye about it. Like no, like or to it or whatever that expression is. Like no one bats an eye.
It's because it's probably because that they've already been dealing with that for a long time.
Well, I mean, like the general public. Like, how does the public find out about these things and like not freak out? It's like we talk about it for like a day, and it's like, oh yeah, hey, there were some UFOs in Arizona. Ha ha ha! What's for dinner?
But like what I'm saying is there's been speculation of aliens since, for a while.
Since Roswell. Well, maybe probably before.
At least since Roswell. And so like that's like 60 years, isn't it? 60 years ago?
Yeah, I think it's probably
60 years of being in the know of the possibility of aliens. It kind of diminishes a little bit.
Yeah, it looks like the Roswell incident was in 1947.
Yeah, so 80 years ago.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah.
But
and you know what's even weirder about that?
What?
Is that aeronautical technology was not advanced back then.
Right. Pretty primitive.
Yeah, so if for them to not be able to say, oh, it was this kind of plane crash, like, doesn't make sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like there wasn't a lot of models back then. There wasn't a lot of different types of planes back then.
The first airplane, was flown by the Wright brothers, and it was in 1903.
Yeah, but
so 40 years difference, and they're saying that technology advanced that much, or obviously the claim is like there was a weather balloon, like it was an experimental weather balloon. But like, come on, how does a balloon crash?
Weather balloons have been around longer than planes, though.
Yeah. The government
if
officially said it was,
if someone would have went up there and examined a crash site of an aero type object, pretty sure they have enough knowledge to say, I know what a weather balloon looks like. That's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, what's weird is once they found the crash site and examined everything, they were like, hey, we have something identified. We think it's aliens or whatever they said. And then they were like, oh, no, just kidding. Like they retracted it. Like they were like, oh, yeah, this is something, crazy. Not really, though. And also don't come over here and look at it.
Think about how much technology had advanced from that time to 1969.
A lot.
We were in space.
Mm-hmm.
By the time of 20 years from then.
Yeah.
Coincidence?
I think not.
No, I'm not like full on conspiracy theory, all that kind of stuff. But I have read some stuff. Like there are things that are interesting to me that I've read, and there is an American scientist that claims to have been near or like had hands on the crash site of that incident, and he's said that a lot of his technological advances were mimicking those things that he's seen from that crash site, like fiber optics.
Oh, really?
Like glass wires and stuff like that. Like because if you think about fiber optic is the most advanced way of sending signals that we have today.
Mm-hmm.
And to think that he created that in the 70s or whenever, I don't know, it was a long time ago. But to think that he created that like 50 years ago, and to say that he mimicked it off of that makes that brings weird feelings up, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I've heard that from conspiracy theorists and stuff that the ultimate plan of the government has always been to slowly leak information that's not too jarring to the public about extraterrestrial communication and encounters, so that it doesn't upset the public when they're finally like, oh yeah, hey, there really are aliens and we've been in contact with them for 200 years or whatever. I don't, obviously, like that's got to be speculation, but like there are just so many things that keep happening. Like whenever the Pentagon put out those videos on the official website, the United States Pentagon website, when they put those out and they were like, hey, we don't know what these are, and here's all the information about them, and like watch them go fast, and like there's no propulsion system, there's no that we can detect, there's, it travels faster than we can, or not faster than we can track, but faster than makes sense, and we tracked it, and here's the footage of it. I was like, okay, like this is getting weird. Like officially the government's like, we have been encountering these things and the technology is beyond what we understand and we don't know what they are, and we're finally going to tell you. Like
we're starting to get into that conversation we had before.
I know, about
alien travel and that whole theory, and I don't want to get into that because that's going to...
it's such a long conversation.
That's a whole nother thing. But like the fact that there's semi-proof out there that things can travel that fast and still survive, it makes me feel like that theory is... Well, survive
is a weird way to say that because they don't know if it's manned or not. It could be like a drone or something.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't be manned because it wouldn't be a human in it.
Oh, yeah, but you know what I mean. It wouldn't be piloted.
Yeah.
Or it could not be piloted or whatever. But the craziest thing about that story too is like after it engaged with the fighter jets in this, I think it was a group of 3 fighter jets, it like sped off really fast, and then like they told their base like they had lost track of it and like didn't know where it went, and it shot off really fast, and then like they went to their rendezvous point where they were supposed to originally go, and it was there waiting for them. Like it knew where they were going. So says, I believe, just Commander David Fravor.
Like, just like, haha, I beat you here.
yeah, pretty much. But like, yeah, they don't, and they said it was like a tic tac shape, and like you can see it on radar. It looks like a big tic tac. They said it was like way beyond what even the most top secret aircraft, it was beyond those capabilities.
I'm not a scientist, but like I have certain theories of how it's possible to travel at certain speeds that are deemed travelable or whatever. And like I'm going to hold my theory until it's proven wrong. But like if you can imagine like a bubble, right? And then another bubble on top of that. And then maybe possibly another bubble on that. So you have 3 layers of bubbles. If the outer bubble is the one traveling at a certain speed, how much effect does the inner bubble have on that? You know what I mean?
No.
You don't know what I mean, or
I don't know. I don't know why. Like, are you saying
So,
something
like-
would be traveling on the perimeter of the outside bubble?
so
And-
like you have a bubble, like you have a large bubble, all right,
Okay.
and it's traveling really, really fast. How much effect does that speed have on the inner bubbles? You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Like you
if
have,
they're all traveling together, they would all have to be going the same speed as the outer bubble.
yeah, but the effect of it, because it doesn't, let's say it's held in, the bubbles are held in position through cables or strings or whatever, so it doesn't, the G force isn't as strong the farther you get to the middle. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think. Are you kind of describing centrifugal force?
I don't know what that is.
It like so.
Centrifugal.
So imagine
force?
a merry-go-round,
Yeah.
and as you spin it, it's like you feel
Yeah,
centrifugal
on the
force.
outer
Is,
side, you feel a lot of G force, but in the middle, you don't feel very much.
yeah, but
yeah.
it's still traveling the same like RPM.
Yeah. Similar to that.
Okay. And but okay, so can explain to me how it we're getting into it.
Yeah.
Explain to me how that would be applied to like space travel. Like bubbles and centrifugal force.
Not specifically bubbles, but for the theory, like a bubble, like just to give it some sort of shape. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like doesn't have to necessarily be a bubble, but like the G force, like if you're going a certain speed, the G force is on the outer shell, and the closer you get to the center, the less the G force. So if there is at some point in time in our future, or maybe a different race of whatever from a different distant planet or different universe, has the technology that have already made that, like something like that, to where the outer shell takes on all that force, and as you get towards the center of the shell, that force is almost gone.
So are you talking about like how essentially like if you were to travel like at the speed of light, like you would essentially be ripped apart, and you're talking about counteracting that by dispersing the force across
Several layers.
Okay. Well, I don't know, like, because I think that even if you don't feel the G force, it's because like I don't know how to explain it. This is getting so weird.
Sticky.
Yeah, and also I'm not a scientist, so I'm speculating just based on like what I kind of understand. And so you would eventually so in a car,
Yeah.
when you press on the gas, you feel that like that G force, that pull,
The initial
because
one.
the car is the one that's moving and you're stationary inside the car until the seat is pushed, and the car body, what's making contact with your body, pushes you. Like, so that's what the G force is it's the material that on the vehicle you're in pushing on you, or you feeling it's weird because centrifugal force I don't think actually is a force. I think it's like a pseudo force. It's weird.
It's not like a physical thing. It's more of like a pressure.
I'll look it up in a minute to find like an explanation to put it into words, like what my understanding is, if it's even correct. But so with the car analogy, like you would eventually, obviously, like if your car is going to go 65 miles an hour, you the car is applying force to your body,
Yeah.
and it's pushing you at 65 miles an hour eventually too. So even if you were not feeling the G-force like you would have to feel the G-force to travel inside of a vehicle for it to push your body. And if you were going at the speed of light, you would eventually have to reach the speed of light as well. And I don't understand if you can or can't or would or wouldn't be able to travel at the speed of light. But from my understanding, like if that much G-force or if that much force is applied to your body, even if it's not all at one time, I think that I've heard people say that it would rip your body apart. Like even if it was a gradual increase, because that force is still being applied to your body. Otherwise, it would be like swatting a fly.
But see, that's where my theory comes in, is because, like, imagine the car traveling at whatever speed, but the car is not a normal car. It doesn't have like all the interior stuff, right? And inside that car is another shell that you're in that's attached to like maybe cables or bungees or whatever that take away some of that G-force. So whenever you're traveling and you're going back, you have resistance of making you go back so far. And so like apply that so many times and eventually you get rid of that G-force altogether.
But the only way that would work is if you had if you were suspended by literally nothing. Because whatever you are inside of has to be touching your body to propel you at the speed the vehicle's going. And so you would have to have an invisible bubble that made no contact with your body and had no mass or any sort of makeup whatsoever, because either if there was a barrier that was made up of material and the force of the vehicle and the inside bubble or whatever it is got up to speed, that force would have to be applied to your body to propel you. Otherwise you wouldn't go anywhere, and the car would either like go through you or do you know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying, but it doesn't, like, it's not exactly what's in my head.
Yeah, I bet it's hard to put into words what you're imagining because there's nothing like that.
Unless there is, and we just don't know about it yet.
Aliens.
Anyway, like, so you know the ride, like you said, that's some big thunder.
Yeah,
right
it's
there.
starting to storm.
I wonder if someone's trying to tell us to stop talking about it. Anyway, so like if there is scientific tests out there that show, like, if you have a spinning object, how the outer rim has G-force, a lot of G-force on it, while the center doesn't. So if we're able to create something that can travel like that, where you're spinning at the same time and you're negating all the G-force, you're like, it's almost like the G-force is coming in and it's going out at the same time, while in the center of it, there's nothing happening.
But if you were rotating that fast to be able to travel at the speed of light, you would probably be like, there's not no G-force at the center. You know what I mean? It's not like there's a point where there's no G-force. And if you were to rotate that fast, like it doesn't make sense to me. But like, so this is what I was talking about as far as G-force goes. It's just a description of what G-force is. The gravitational force equivalent, or G-force, is a measurement of the type of force per unit mass, usually acceleration, that causes a perception of weight. So like, it's not really like when you feel G-force, it's not a force that's acting on your body. It is just gravity and acceleration giving you the perception that force or weight is being applied to you. Like, so that's where it's weird for me, is like, it's not, it's like when you feel G-force, you are feeling the resistance of gravity and another object pushing on you.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I don't know.
So if you, what I'm saying is if for my theory, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's the way, like, if you have a way to surround yourself to where it's not affected by the outside force of gravity. So you have so many layers that eventually negate it altogether.
But there's no gravity in space, so you don't have to worry about that. You would just have to worry about the force that the vehicle you're in is applying to your body to propel it to the speed that you would need to go. And if something's applying force to your body, whether gradual or suddenly, that makes you travel at the speed of light, I think it would destroy you. That's what I'm saying. Like, I understand what you're saying, but I don't think
with our understanding and our technology, and if we were to make something today to try to do speed of light, yeah, I can see it destroying your body. But what I'm proposing is that there's an advanced civilization out in the world that's already created something similar to what I think. And that's why they can travel at light speed.
Yeah, and based on my basic understanding of physics, I don't see how that's possible without bending space-time and creating something like a wormhole. That's the only way that I can imagine it would work. But at the same time, I'm not an advanced alien species, and I have a basic understanding of science, so I don't know anything. It's just speculation.
Yeah, we probably shouldn't have started talking about this.
Yeah, no. Do you know how long we've been going?
Like an hour and 30.
Not quite that. An hour and 7.
Okay.
So,
Do we have any special interruptions today?
Yeah, there's one special interruption.
It's joke time. It's joke time.
How do you kill a circus?
How?
Go for the juggler.
That's funny. I have a joke.
No way.
It's joke time. It's joke time. A priest, a rabbit, and a minister walk into a bar. The rabbit says, "I might be a typo."
It's a good one.
I seen that one somewhere, so I had to throw it in.
I'm glad you brought your own joke time today. Really cool.
Well, you ready to wrap it up?
Let's wrap it up. Can't believe we ended with joke time today. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all for listening. And this has been a scary and thought-provoking episode, I feel like. So, maybe get a cup of coffee, run a hot bath, and ponder the technological advances of the universe, and maybe try to contact some spirits. Thank you for listening, and we will talk to you on the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.